Kadosh, Boker Or, Chodesh Tov. Yeah, Sof Shavua Tov. Yeah, Bezrat Hashem, the Masechet Kiddushin, the Vav Amud Aleph 6a. We are 3 lines down where it says Tanu Rabbanan. Yeah, where it says Tanu Rabbanan. Okay, so 3 lines down. Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in A Beraita. Hareat ishti, hareat arusati, hareat knuyali mekudeshet. Yeah? One more time. If you're going to be my wife, you're going to be my arusa, you're going to be acquired to me, she is mekudeshet. But if he just says, hareat sheli, hareat birshuti, hareat zekukali, right? He comes and he says, it's also going to be mekudeshet. So, you saw here 6 lishonot that help. Hareat ishti, hareat arusati, hareat knuyali, Hareat sheli, hareat birshuti, hareat zikukali. All these cases, it is mekudeshet. The Gemara is going to ask the very, very obvious question: why do we split it up into 2? Because we brought down 3, and then we said mekudeshet, and then we brought down another 3, and also mekudeshet. If you're going to tell me the first 3 is mekudeshet, then afterwards not mekudeshet, or the other way around, so I couldn't understand. But if the entire 6 is all mekudeshet, put it in one place. What do you tell me 3? Mekudeshet, and then 3 and mekudeshet. Tell me in one shot, everything's mekudeshet. So says the Gemara, v'litzninu kulhu kehada. Says the Gemara, why don't we teach all of them in one shot? Teach all 6 cases, and then say mekudeshet. So answers the Gemara, Tana tzlat shaminu vegarsinu. The Tana taught the Braita that he taught 3 lishonot by itself, and then he brought down another 3 lishonot by itself. And that was the minhag in order to do chazara on that which they learned. Meaning that they used to come and they used to do it in such a fashion that they will be able to remember it and know it well. So they used to come and they used to say, by the way, usually what is the form of saying it? Hareat mekudesheli. By the way, it's not only just hareat mekudesheli. Even if you're going to say hareat ishti, or hareat meureseli, or hareat knuyali, that's also going to be good. And then afterwards they came and said, by the way, it's not only those 3, there's going to be another 3. What are the other 3? Hareat sheli, hareat bishuti, hareat zekukali. Also, that's another 3. So therefore he comes, that's the way that they were coming and learning. Says the Gemara, okay, fine. So these are all good lashonot, so there's no problem that it's considered what? A good kiddushin. Says the Gemara, we have a question. What happens if we say if you're designated for me? What's halacha? Right? Or mu'edet li. Okay, that already you're gonna have to tell me in the English. What's how do you want destined? Destined, he says in English. Yeah, destined for me, right? Or ezrati. So ezrati is coming, right? Yeah. Or negdati. Some people are negdati. Yeah. Or atzurati. Yeah. Ma kavana po like an asifa that you're gathered to me, right? It says over here asifa. Or salati, right? This is the tzela, right? No, not tzela. Salat, the tzelati is a tzela, yeah? The ribs, yeah, Adam's ribs. Segurati, right? Or tachtai, under me. Tfusati, right? Lekuchati. So if he's going to come and he's going to tell her, you had to tachtai, whoa. Let's see if he survives. But okay, but yeah, so he comes and he says, tfusati, from that which we learned in Sotah, right? V'hilo nitpasa. So in all these cases, what's halacha? Yeah, look how many we had. We had miuchedet, ezrati, negdati, atzurati, tzalati, skurati, tachtai, tfusati, lekuchati. 10 doubts, 10 cases that we asked the question: does it work or does not? Or it does not work. So says the Gemara, Shot miha chada, right? We're going to come and we're going to answer at least one of them. What's the one of them? The Tanya we learned in the Braita, Omer lekuchati. If you say, right, lekuchati, as if like you're purchased to me, right? Or you're taken from me, whichever one you want to say it. Harezu mikudeshet. It is a good kiddushin. Why? The lashon of kiddushin in the Torah was ki yikach. So lashon of lekuchim for sure should be good. So we asked 10 questions, we answered 1. It's good. This one for sure we can answer. Okay, fine. Says the Gemara, fine. Now we're going to ask, what about if he says, Hareat charufati? What's halacha? Right? Because charufati is like shivcha necherefet, which is basically miuchedet, right? Something like that's designated for someone for relations. So charufati, is that good or not? So Tashima, we're going to try to bring a proof to tell you we learned in the Braita. Homer charufati mekudeshet, sheken ki korim biyuda korim larusa charufa. That means the name of fiancé in Yehuda was called charufa. So because of that, for sure, if you're going to say hareat charufati, that's also going to be good. So we added on one more time. We had 10. One of the 10, which is the kuchati, we answered that for sure it's going to be considered a kiddushin, but that's the lashon pasuk. We added an 11th one, which was a question to do with charufa, and we also answered that one that it's also going to be positive. Why? Because how they call in Yehuda arusa a charufa. So says the Gemara, Yehuda ve'arubia de'alma. So I don't understand you. Because in Yehuda they're going to call it that way. That's it. The entire world is going to be like that. Imagine right now, if in some Honolulu, they're going to come, they're going to call an arusa atsurati, or tzalati, my rib, or whatever the case is. Now that's it. The entire world, you could say, now this is who you are for me, now it's going to be okay. They're not the entire world. What is this? So answers the Gemara, says the Gemara, hachi kamar. This is what it meant to say in the Braita. Haomer charufati mekudeshet. If you say charufati, she is mekudeshet. Why? From the pasuk also. It says in the pasuk, she's a maidservant, but she was designated to a man to have relations. And furthermore, it's not, that's not the main reason. Because if that was the main reason, it had to be the entire world, has to be, or the majority of the world, that they call it that. So it's not the main reason. The main reason is because of the pasuk. And because of the pasuk, it's already enough. And that's already good. And furthermore, also in Yehuda, they call it like that, but it's not that that's the main reason. So says the Gemara, V'yoda ve'od likra. He says, what? I don't understand you. Do you need a pasuk? What's a ve'od? Kilu, right now, I'm going to come and tell you, listen, right? Are you allowed to do a certain thing? You're not allowed to do it. I'm going to bring you a pasuk in the Torah. And I'm going to tell you, by the way, in Miami, this is what do I care now about? There's a pasuk. Yeah? So says the Gemara, Elahachi kamar. This is what it means to say. Haomer charufa, somebody that comes and he says, Areat charufa sheli, biyuda is going to be mekudeshet. Why? Shekem biyuda korin larusa charufa. Because in Yehuda, they call an arusa charufa, which means we're not bringing the pasuk anymore. We're not bringing a raya from the pasuk, right? So he says that it comes out that the word charufa only helps in Yehuda. Now the same halacha would apply to any lashon of kiddushin in that place, right? Because at the end of the day, if it's not going to be in Lashon HaKodesh, it's not actually going to happen. So therefore, it's not happening anymore, right? Over here that we're using the Lashon of Charufa as Kiddushin, okay? Because he wants to say that the word of Charufa is talking about a Shivcha Kenani Gemura, that she has no tzad cherut, and therefore it's not really Bemet Kiddushin. So therefore, that's why he's saying it's like Necharefet is only Yichud, it's not Kiddushin. But she's a Shivcha Kenani. So therefore, that's why he says that, that at the end we changed it. That really Be'emet has nothing to do with the pasuk. The pasuk is only for Shivcha Kanani, not for a regular Jewish woman. However, though, in Yehuda, it does work, because in Yehuda, they call arusa a charufa. Okay? Nekuda. Fine. Says now the Gemara as follows. We had a doubt to do with which leshonot are leshonot of Kiddushin or not. Says the Gemara, B'maya skina. What are we dealing with exactly? Says why? If you're going to tell me that she's not speaking about Bini, he's not speaking to her about anything to do with a get or kiddushin. So how does he know what? How does she know exactly what he's telling her? Meaning, at the end of the day, if he's going to come, he's going to say, "You're my help," or "You're against me," right? Which for some people that's their help, right? But what's going to happen in such a case? You understand? So he comes and he says, what is the help, right, in such a case? Yeah? So he comes and he says, yeah? So, what are we dealing with exactly? If you're going to tell me that she's not speaking, that means you're not talking about bichlal, anything to do with kiddushin or gitin or anything. So how does she know exactly what he's referring to over here? Right? They're speaking about it. Meaning they're speaking about a wedding, they're speaking about this, about that. So so even if they didn't say anything, she should be mekudeshet. Again, one more time. he's giving her something. Because just to say Harei Mekudeshet is not enough, right? He's giving her something. Could be kesef, shaveh kesef, could be a ring. He's giving her something. So the Gemara is going to say, if right now, right, we're talking about that they're speaking about it, so then even if he doesn't say anything, he doesn't open up his mouth. The second that they're speaking about Kiddushin, and now he comes and he gives the ring to her, come on, that's it. They're talking about Kiddushin. He doesn't have to see the words, right? Because she already knows that that's what we're talking about. It's numbers we learned in the Mishnah, Maaseh Sheni. Haya medaber al isha, im isha, al iske gita v'kidushea, v'natan la gita v'kidushea, ve'lo pidesh. Imagine a person's coming and he's speaking to a woman to do with her get or her kiddushin, and now he gives it to her. So he gives her the get or he gives her the kiddushin. And he doesn't say what it's for. So imagine, it's his wife. He's speaking about divorce, and he gives her the piece of paper. He gives her the get. Or it's somebody that he's going out with for a while, and they're speaking about a marriage, right? And all of a sudden, he gives her the kiddushin. He gives her the ring. He doesn't say anything. Lo pidesh. He doesn't say, Harei ze giter. He doesn't say, Harei mekudet. Shum davar. Lo mer klum. Mamash. Yeah? What happens? Rabbi Yosef omer dayo. Says Rabbi Yosef, sasufi. It's enough. You don't need to do anything else. Right? He says, Rabbi Yehuda says, no, tzarich lefaresh. You do have to explain it. What does that mean? You see from here that you don't have to actually explain anything. So therefore, what is our case? If our case is that they're dealing when we're speaking about Kiddushin, so I don't care what he says, even if he doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to say anything. And if it is that, right, that he's not speaking about Kiddushin, so how does she know what he's talking about? Your rib. I don't know what you lost. I don't know what what does all these things mean? So Amri, so answers the Gemara leolam really be'emet. B'mdaber ima liskei gita v'kidushea. Really be'emet, he's speaking to her to do with the gitin and kiddushin. Ve'id yayiv la v'shatik. But if he gives it to her and he keeps quiet, hachanami in hachanami, you're right. V'hacha b'ma'esina, and here what are we dealing with? The yayiv la v'amal la v'hani lishon. That he gave it to her and he said it to her in these lishonot. V'hachi kami b'alim. Therefore, this is what the question is. Hani lishon lekidusha kamala or din ma lemlacha kamala. When he used these terminologies, was it for kiddushin or was it for melacha? Meaning like this. Here you see that sometimes by talking, you put your foot in it. If you would have kept quiet, it would have been okay. But the second that you add kol musif, gorea. Yeah, very important. Yeah, some people, they don't know that klal, right? But kol musif, gorea. What does that mean? Sometimes you keep quiet, Baruch Hashem. Count your blessings. The second that you're starting to be musif, now you get into problems. So the exact same thing. If he would have just given over the get or given over the kiddushin and he would have kept quiet, chazak baruch, it would have been a good get, it would have been a good kiddushin. But the second that he comes now and he gives this over and now he added words, these words now all of a sudden come and say, one second. These terminologies, you're going to be my helper. So my helper is what? My shivcha. My what exactly? Right? Or be'emet is a kenegdo. Or you're going to be against me. Right? Sometimes people ask for it. Right? I remember I was once speaking to a rabbi and he tells me, this person, he wants makot. He needs it. That's the way that he lives. If he doesn't get it, that's what he needs to feel satisfied. If not, his life is boring. So he needs to give it to them on the head. You understand? So the question is, what happens in this? Is it considered a lashon of kiddushin, or is it lashon of melacha? Answers the Gemara, teku. We don't have an answer. That means all these cases of the 9 that which were left, right, are all, we don't know. We're not sure. Right? Teku. We don't have an answer. Fine. Next. Says the Gemara, we're going to analyze the Braita again. Gufa. Right? We learned in the Mishnah. Imagine a person is right now coming and he's speaking to a woman. And he gave her the get and the kiddushin. And he did not say anything. Rabbi Yosef omer dayo. Rabbi Yehuda omer tzarich lefaresh. Amar Rabbi Yehuda omer Shmuel, says Rabbi Yehuda omer Shmuel, vehu she'asukin beoto inyan. it has to be that they're still in the middle of the conversation. Meaning they're still, it's not that he changed the subject and then he gave her the money. They're still in the middle of the concept. This also to be, meaning that for the Kiddushin to still be Chal and everything to be okay, it can't be that, listen, we're talking about a wedding, and all of a sudden I changed the conversation, and we're talking about now the month of Elul, right? And I give you money. And you could understand that you give me money in order to buy a Sefer Musar, because you're trying to hint to me that I have to learn Musar, or I don't know what. You understand? It has to be, right, that we're talking about in the Oto Inyan. It has to be that we're in the middle of the topic, right? It's hot off the press, as they say. Okay? So says the Gemara, Kitanai. One second, but that's a machloket tonight. Why? Rabbi says, V'ushaskin Oto Inyan. V'Zabim Shimon Omer, Avishay Oskim Oto Inyan. Says the Zabim Shimon, they don't have to be Oskim Oto Inyan. So what you just brought down now is actually a machloket tanaim. Ve'ilav v'asukim be'oto inyan. Now, if you're going to tell me that they're not talking about it anymore, how does she know, right, what he's telling her? How does she know the kavanah of the money? He comes and he gives her money. How does she know? Maybe now they were speaking about shoes, and all of a sudden she said, I wanted to buy a pair of shoes, this and that, and they're very expensive, and all of a sudden he comes and gives her the money. How does she know that this is money of Kiddushin and no money of something else? Right? If they're not anymore asukim be'oto inyan. So Rabbi says, Minyan li'inyan, right? Be'oto inyan. What does that mean? We're talking about that they were going from one thing to another thing to another thing, but they were all talking about, be'oto inyan. Meaning, it's true, they were talking about the marriage, but then they were talking about in the future with children, and then they're talking about, what to wear, whether it's what of a kisui rosh, and what, and they kept on going in all these different types of things. The Oto Inyan of Kiddushin. But it wasn't just on the actual marriage anymore. So Amar Rav Yehuda ben Shmuel says, Rav Huna ben Shmuel, Halacha Rabbi Yosef, Halacha Rabbi Yosef, that it's dayo. It's enough. All he has to do is he has to give it to her and not to say anything. That's already enough. So Elmaleh Rav Yimar Rashi says Rav Yimar to Rashi, Velahad Amar Rav Yehuda ben Shmuel, that which Rav Yehuda says, some people come and they think that they could marry off people without any problem. Just marry them off. Yeah, what's the problem? Here, the Gemara says, and it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch, by the way, Kol she'eno yodea, anybody that does not know betiv, gitin, v'kiddushin, in the concept of gitin, v'kiddushin, lo yehe, lo esek imahem. Do not deal with it. Yeah? Afilu lo shemi'ale, had Rav Huna ben Shmuel. Says, now the reason why is because many times a person could make a mistake. And because they make a mistake, they mess everything up. And then, don't get involved. You have to know your place. Don't do something, right, that you don't need to do. Yeah, nobody asked you. Yeah, they say, don't try to be an ish when there's already a be'anashim. Right? Do something. Do not deal with it. So says the Gemara, even if he didn't hear of this thing, right? He shouldn't be a dayan. So Elmaleh comes and he tells him, you're right. That somebody that does not know very well, he cannot be a dayan. Meaning he cannot be a dayan in Gitin and Kiddushin if he doesn't know the halacha. Right? He cannot. Meaning don't, Lechem b'Kiddushin. Same halacha applies to Kiddushin. Natan lagita ve'amar la harei ad meshulachat, harei ad megureshet, harei ad muteret, lechol adam, harei megureshet. If a person comes and he gives, right, because usually you have to say, harei zegitech, this is your get, right? But now, if he comes and he gives her the get, and he tells her, harei ad meshulachat, you are going to be sent. Harei ad megureshet, you are going to be divorced. Harei ad muteret, you are going to be permitted lechol adam, harei megureshet, she's going to be divorce. So the exact same Mishnot? No, either or, right? Any of these three, just like by Kiddushin, the exact same thing, right? Right? So it says the Gemara, Pshita, it's obvious. Natan la gita ve'amar la lishto harei bat chorin. It's obvious though, if a person is going to give a get to his wife and he tells her harei bat chorin that you're a free woman, lo amar velo klum, vava mubet 6b. He didn't tell her anything, right? She's not divorced. Why? Because at the end of the day, she was always free. Even when she was married, she's free. Right? It could be that maybe the husband thinks that she's not free, right? And he thinks that he has her as a slave. But really, she was always a bat chorin. She was never a thing, right? So therefore, right, what happens is, he didn't say anything. Amala l'shivchato. The same halacha would apply if she tells her shivcha kenanit, and he gives her a get shichrud, and he tells her Areya muter lechol adam. Lo amar v'lo klum. He didn't say anything because that's not a lashon of shichrud. That's a lashon of girushin. When a person comes and he says you're permitted to anybody to get married, that's a lashon of girushin. Why? When she's a married woman, she can't get married to anybody. The second that she's divorced, she's allowed to get married to everybody. So if you come and you say the lashon Hareya muter lechol adam, you're permitted to get married to any man, which means that's the lashon of girushin. You come and you tell that to your shivcha, that's klum. That's nothing. Right? What is shivcha? You're permitted to everybody. That's not the concept. The concept, you have to become free. So you have to say, Hareat bat chorim, that you're a free woman. And the same vice versa goes for the wife. If he comes and he tells the wife, instead of saying that you're married, permitted to marry to anybody, you're a free woman, she was always free. Well, when she was married, she was a slave. She wasn't a slave. She was always free. So now the Gemara is going to have another safek. Amala lishto. What happens if he comes and he tells his wife, Hareat le'atzmech, you are to yourself. Mahu. What's halacha? Mi amnina do we say limlacha kamar? Right? Kamala, which means that it's for melacha. Or dinma legamre kamala. Or maybe it's legamre. What does that mean limlacha kamala? Is that melacha? Or talking about legamre, completely. Okay? So Amar le Ravina Ravashi says Ravina to Ravashi, Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. Titania, as we learned in the Braita, Gufo shall get shichrud. What is Gufo shall get shichrud? Hare ata ben chorim, hare ata letzmicha. Right? He comes and he says, Hare ata ben chorim, or Hare ata letzmicha. What does that mean? Shtash shichrud is an emancipation letter, freedom letter.
For the slave.
Okay? For the slave. So he says here, Tashma Detanya, Gufo shall get shichrud. What is the ikar of the nusach of a get shichrud? Hare ata ben chorim. You are ben chorim. Hare ata le'atzmecha. You are le'atzmecha for yourself. Hashta, now, umayvet kanani de kanani legufe. If by the evet kanani he's going to acquire himself. Ki amar le hare ata le'atzmecha, when he says, legamre kamala means that it's 100% for himself. Isha de lo kanani legufa, the woman is not acquired to you. Lo kol sheken should help. Basically, what we're trying to make is a, right? Right? He comes and he says like this, we're trying to make a kal v'chomer. If by an evet kinani hareata letzmicha, you are to yourself helps, and the body of the evet belongs to you and it still helps to get him free, the woman that her body is not acquired to you, when you say hareat letzmich, that you are to yourself, shouldn't that actually free her up? Shouldn't that actually come and let her out? So the Gemara is going to obviously come and say, right, that it should actually work. So therefore, again, we had a safek, hareat le'atzmech, does it help or not? And we answer the safek from a tashema, from a kal v'chomer. What was the kal v'chomer? If hareat le'atzmech, hareat le'atzmecha, because we're talking about the evet, hareat le'atzmecha helps, and the body of the evet is kanui to you, is acquired to you, kol sheken kal v'chomer, in a case where the woman, where the body is not acquired to you, meaning when you get married to a woman, the body of the woman is not your body, it's not acquired to you. Kal v'chomer, it's going to help when you say hareat le'atzmech. Next, Amar le, it's a good get. Amar le Ravina leRavashi, says Ravina to Ravashi. That's what we said before. Amar le'avdo, said to his eved, en li esek becha mai. Imagine you come and you tell your slave, I have nothing to do with you. Eli esek becha. Mi amnina, do we say Eli esek becha legamre? Doesn't mean completely. That means that that's it. He's not an eved anymore. Or dilmar, maybe minacha kamale. Maybe it's just to do with minacha. That from now on he doesn't have to actually work, but he's still his. He's not that it's he's a free man. So Amaleh of Rav Chanin Ravashi, Amrila Rav Chanin Mechazol and Ravashi says Rav Chanin to Ravashi. Something says Rav Chanin from Mechozav to Ravashi. Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof. If you're going to come and you're going to sell your slave, he goes off free. He still needs to get shichrud from the first master. Amar Rabbi says these words, if he did not write an ono, aval katav alav ono, but if you did write an ono, zehu shichrudo. This is his shichrud. Okay, so what is ono exactly? Hechidami ono. Amar Rav Sheshat Says the Rosh Hashanah, the Katav that he wrote, "Lechshetivrach mimenu en li esek becha." When you're going to come and you're going to run away from the goy, I have nothing to do with him. That's called the shtar ono. So the ono is the shichru, because the ono is basically coming and telling you, right, that I have nothing to do with you. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, so he comes and he says, right, that's when it actually belongs to him. Because once he comes and he says, when he's going to run away, has nothing to do with me, come on, that's it. So Amar Abaye comes and he says, Hamkadesh b'milveh. If somebody's going to come and he's going to be Mekadesh, a woman with a milveh, which means he comes and he lent the woman money. Yeah, she needs $10,000. He lends her the $10,000. Afterwards, he comes and he says, you know what? Harea mekudesh or he kachili b'milveh she'ivitich, with the money that I lent you. Now he wants to basically get married with the chov, that with the that she's obligated to him. Ena mekudeshet, it's nothing, right? Why? Because since it was given to her betor halva'ah, as a loan, and so it's already 100%, right, hers, right? The only thing is she just has obligated to pay it back, but it's not like he gave her something now. It has to be something that he's giving now. But if it's going to be not with the milveh that I already lent you, but with the hana'ah of that which I'm giving it to you, right? So he comes and he says, right, in such a case, which one? One. If you guys give me 3 seconds. When it says now, one more time, a person comes and he says he's going to be Mekadesh Otah with the money that he already lent her, that does not help. But with the hana'ah of the loan, it does help, Mekudeshet. But it's a Sula Sotken. But you're not allowed to do it. Why? He says, Mipneh haramat ribit. Because that is like harama of ribit. Because when you do that, it looks like it's almost ribit. And therefore it's going to be a sul. Hayana milvech. What was the case? What is the hanat milveh? If you're going to tell me that it's the actual loan, meaning she needed a loan, and he comes and he tells her, you know what, I'm going to lend you money, and with the hana'ah of lending you money, I'm going to get married to you. He says the amala. He comes and he tells her arba zuzim with 5 zuzim. So he says harabi malyatem. If he's going to come and he's going to tell her, you know what, 4 for 5, that's ribit gimuram. That's a susura min Torah. So it would have been haramat ribit. Haramat ribit sounds like harama. Harama is that it's not really ribit, but it's like a ribit, right? It's like a trickery of ribit. And furthermore, hainu milveh, that is a milveh. Meaning, if he already did this, it means that he actually lent her the money. So that is a milveh. So what are we talking about then? So says the Gemara, Latzricha, what are we dealing with? The arva chalazimna. He gave her an extension. Meaning like this. She was supposed to come and pay him up today. Right? It already passed a month, if it was a stam alva'ah, or it passed 3 months and it was a alva'ah for 3 months, or say whatever it was. Okay. All of a sudden she comes to him and she says, listen, I apologize, I don't have the money. He starts scratching his head. He says, you know what? How about this? I give you an extension. You don't have to pay me back now. You can pay me back in another 6 months. And with that hana'ah, the extension, I'm going to get married to you. Sounds good. No, it's a good deal. Yeah? So he comes. An extension is not an ah. If I come and I tell you that I'm going to give you another 3 months to pay without, to push the
enough for her.
Yeah, her ana. So she's getting very obviously
somebody.
Okay. So he comes and he says, Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Helach maneh al menat shetachzireu li bemecher lo kana beisha ena mekudeshet bepidyon haben em beno pedui. Right? Betruma yatsa yedei netina. But it's still a sula sotken. So something very, very interesting. We're talking about now matana al menat lachzir. Okay, which is a present on condition to give back. Right? A present, one more time, a present on condition to give back. So Rava comes and he says, Helach maneh, take this money on condition that you give it back to me. So I'm giving you $100, so just give it back to me. By a sale, right? So for example, let's say you're buying a field with it. Look, you didn't buy it, right? Why didn't you buy it? Because it's nikne bekesef, right? But if the kesef is zaman al-akhzir, so it's kilu that you didn't get anything from it. So it's not a good sale. The same thing with Kiddushin. Kiddushin has to be that he's giving it to her, and that means even though she's maskima to the Kiddushin in such a form, it doesn't help. Because it has to be something that he's giving to her. It cannot be a matana menat lachzir. The pidyon aben,
How is the
right? By
pidyon,
pidyon, right? Aben, right? That the Kohen is giving the Kohen is getting the 5 slain, right? Here, the same thing. If he gives the money to the Kohen and he tells the Kohen here, it's a matana menat lachzir. Here's the 5 slain, right? And now I get it back. It's not pidyon aben. By truma, it does help. By truma is yatsa yedeh netina. Right? Because he comes and he says that the second that you separate your trumot masor, there's no tevel, and you're allowed to come and you're allowed to eat the fruits, but you have to give it to a kohen, right? But you're going to be yotzei chova if you give it to the kohen al menat lachzir lecha et zeh. Because by the truma you have to separate the truma. By the pidyon aben you have to give, you have to be podeh. By the money you have to give to the woman. You have to by the meched you have to buy it, but it's still going to be asur to do that by the truma because it looks like the kohen is just helping out in the bet hakranot. Right, in the fact that he's giving the truma to him and not to another kohen, so it looks like a joke. So therefore, we don't allow it by the truma. So now says the Gemara, Maika Savar Rava, right? What exactly does Rava hold to do with matana min al-chazir? Ika Savar, if he holds matana min al-chazir shema matana, that it is considered a matana. So afilu kulunami. So therefore, in all the cases, it should also be good. Whether it's kiddushin, whether it's a pidyon aben, whether it's a mecher, in all the cases, it should be good. If Rava holds that it's lashma matana, that it's not considered a matana min al-chazir, so afilu truma min al, so therefore even my truma shouldn't help also. Ve'od, and furthermore, harava udamar, it's Rava the one that he says that matana min al-chazir shema matana, that it is considered a matana. Ta'amar Rava, but Rava says helach etrog zeh menat shedachzirioni netalo vechziro yatsa. By lulav and etrog, everyone knows this famous concept. This famous concept of lulav and etrog. You come and you take a lulav and etrog. You want to lend it to somebody. What do you tell him? Matana min al-chazir. You lend him the etrog, lulav and etrog. He uses it, and then he gives it back to you, and that works. So you see from here, matana min al-chazir helps, and the proof from the etrog. And this is Rava himself. So the question is, if Rava himself comes and he holds of what the matana min al-chazir is a good matana, so therefore, why doesn't it help by mecher? Why doesn't it help by pidyon aben? Why doesn't it help by kiddushin? Right? If you didn't do it min al-chazir, then it's not going to help. So he comes and he says, sorry, love is if he didn't give it back to him, it doesn't help. So the answer is given by Ravashi, but rather Ravashi says, Bekulhu, you're right, do with everything, Kani, it is going to be good. Meaning, by Mecher, Pidyon Ben, and Truma, it's going to be good. Levar Isha, except for Kiddushin. Right? Why? We already learned that a woman cannot be married through Chalipin. And since we learned that a woman cannot be married through Chalipin, so therefore Chalipin is that when you're going to switch. Right? When you're going to switch, I take the money or you take the para, and then it's going to be a switch of thing. Why did we say Chalipin doesn't help by a woman? If it helps by kesef, why doesn't it help by a woman? Very good. If it's going to be pachot mishaveh pruta, which means that since there's Chalipin, which is good on pachot mishaveh pruta, so therefore it doesn't help at all by kiddushin, because kesef by the kiddushin has to be minimum of shaveh pruta, right? Minimum pruta or shaveh pruta. What? That's how we paskin, right? Betilel, right? So therefore, since we paskin has to be minimum of shaveh pruta, chalipin does work even if it's going to be on less than shaveh pruta. You cannot do chalipin by a woman. So therefore, since you cannot do by chalipin by a woman, this looks like chalipin. It looks like matanam. So it doesn't help. By the woman by marriage, it doesn't help. But everything else, it does help. So Amar le Ravuna mor bered Rav Nechemel Ravashi hacha amnina mishmed Rava kavatich. This is what we said in Rava, just like what you said. And Bezrat Hashem, we continue on Sunday.